You're welcome back. This is The Pulse. I'm Araba Kumsa. Now, the group that petitioned the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, over corruption allegations made by Kwame Asario, being popularly known as A+, against the two deputy chiefs of staff, Francis Asensortre and Abu Jinapor, have described the investigative report exonerating the two as a lame duck one. They accuse SHRAJ of failing to thoroughly investigate the matter by trivializing the conversation captured on the CD-ROM, which they say is the quote-unquote nucleus of the allegations. Director of Operations for the Dynamic Youth Movement, Blaise Annan Jr., joins me in the studio with more. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to The Pulse. First of all, what did you expect the Commission to do with the tape?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your most distinguished viewers. You'd agree with me that what broke up or what redirected the entire case was the emergence of the leaked tape, and so it was important that the Commission, based on our petition, conducted a scientific validation of the tape, especially when the CID, the acting CID boss, admitted that indeed she had a conversation with A+, but portions of that conversation was doctored. And obviously that tape, or that big tape, was the nucleus of the angle that the entire matter, went.
And you're saying that they didn't take, a look at the tape. They didn't focus on the tape well in undertaking their investigations.
Yeah, yes, and page 15 of the report, the 24-page document that SHRAJ wrote as part of the investigation, they admit that indeed they have the mandate to investigate anybody, and even they have the mandate to even conduct another investigation after the CID's investigation. But they also say that the tape was unnecessary for them to have investigated. That's where we differ. That's where we disagree with SHRAJ, because we all agree that that is the matter in question. So as it stands now, to us, look, the court of public opinion still have the doubt.
The court of public opinion still has doubts.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that many members of public agree with your position that SHRAJ didn't do a good job?
Absolutely, on the tape, because that was the nucleus of the matter. Investigate, conduct a scientific validation on the tape, so the good people of this country get to know, especially when the person in question admits that indeed I had this conversation, but portions of that conversation was doctored. Now the Commission says it doesn't have the mandate to scientifically validate, and we believe that the Commission treated the CID boss or acting CID boss with soft gloves, especially when the Commission, as part of the response or the investigation, admitted that indeed they requested for the comprehensive report that on the investigation that the CID had earlier conducted. Unfortunately, the Commission did not get the report. So the Commission relied solely on reports from the individuals involved. How can the Commission come to that conclusion when they've not been able to make an independent...
Is this what the Commission's report is saying, that they did not get a copy of the report from the police
absolutely.
CID?
So they even called Madam Tiwa on phone, and then Madam Tiwa said that the investigation was superintended by the IGP. And so how can you not make an independent verification of the said claim and rely solely on the manifestation of these individuals and come back to tell the people of this country that it is not within your place to conduct a scientific validation of the said tape? Perhaps the Supreme Court will have to give us an interpretation, especially when the leaked tape is linked with a corruption allegation.
I see. So you think they did a poor job. What could they have done better?
I think it's still within their mandate per Article 219 of the Constitution, which we all agree that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. No any other law is subservient to the Constitution, that they have the right, they have the power to subpoena any individual and request for any document necessary.
I see. So now that the Commission has come out with its report and its position on the matter, it has cleared the two deputy chiefs of staff. What do you intend to do going forward?
Going forward, I think we have always believed in our state institutions. That is why we took this matter on to petition SHRAJ, an independent body. And it would have been very disastrous, especially as a growing democracy, a constitutional democracy, if we had not taken that decision when the issue of the tape broke out. And we also want to thank SHRAJ. In fact, I would be very, I'll not be frank if I don't thank the Commission. When it comes to the communication, I think they were apt. They always give us a response whenever any parties came out with their response. We always copied. They got up to us, up to date on what was happening. I think they did very well in their communication, but the conclusion on that particular matter was what we had questions with. So we are yet to decide as a group what to go, but there are options available to us. It's either we go back to Shraj to add additional evidence, or we can go to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation for what the mandate has got to do with Shraj in tandem.
So currently you are still contemplating your next line of action?
Of action, I mean, as a group. And we are yet, and when we come to that conclusion, we would let the people of Ghana know.
All right, many thanks. And that is a member of the Dynamic Youth, which is challenging Shraj's report after it exonerated the 2 deputy chiefs of staff. Many thanks for your time. Moving on, the police has announced it will deploy 14,200 personnel across the country to undertake special operations targeted at providing maximum law enforcement and traffic management during the Yuletide. The additional 18,000 would be deployed alongside to undertake traditional police function during that period. The announcement was made by the Director General of Operations COP, Dr. Dampare, when he addressed a news conference at the Joint Police Operations Center at the police headquarters Thursday morning.
So far, since the beginning of the transformation agenda, whatever we've learned on the transformation track, we'll try and bring it to bear on our duties as we go ahead. The second thing that will make us successful is the cooperation and the support of the good people of the country and all our stakeholders. It has always been said time and again that security, and for that matter, maintenance of law and order and public sanity is a shared responsibility. What it means is that you need 2 hands to have a handshake. So if one person or one entity stretches its hand or his hand and the other hand is not forthcoming, there will be a half handshake. And therefore, in the same way, if we really want to live by that saying, then we continue to plead with you, our stakeholders, the public, to help us, support us, cooperate with us, including criticizing us constructively so as we'll be able to up our game. And I think if we do these two, we will be able to leave this country in a more secure way than we came to find it. On the issue of what is it that needs to be done next, is that we must, as people, support every constitutionally mandated institution. And we, the police, will do our best, by way of conclusion, to live up to our expectation from the perspective of law-abiding citizens. But we need your support. So help us to succeed. Secondly, to the criminals, we want to sign that message to you. We are coming. We are coming bigger than you have ever known. We are coming for you at the 3 places we know we can find you: your hideout, the place you operate, and where you dispose of your booties. So be ready. Stop!
Dr. George Dampare also added the IGP is highly troubled about the acts of indiscipline displayed by some motorbike riders who violate traffic regulations. Answering questions at the news conference, he said even though the service is logistically not self-sufficient, it is working towards implementing a comprehensive strategy in dealing with the menace.
Actually, it's ongoing, and we are deploying progressively. We are deploying progressively, and as you could see on the field, the final debriefing and briefing for the personnel at the national operation level or department is being done. And from tomorrow, you see most of them out there, like we said, on the instructions of the IG, going to support the MTTDs and the traffic management and other strategies that we don't want to share. You will feel it. That's what I want you to leave here with. You will feel it. We try to be very considerate, and at any point in time in the course of doing our work, if there's anybody who can support us and complement the effort of government in order to keep the bad people out, I think it will be all well and good for all of us. That's why we keep saying that security is a shared responsibility. So anything that you think we can work together on to get people out of the environment that they operate, we do. And more importantly, over the years, studies have shown that it is always the limited few that provide the maximum output. The concept of 20/80, where you have 20% of the population all the time providing the 80% of the output, and you have 80% of the people all the time providing only 20% of the component. So we have come to believe in that concept, that whatever we have, we can make the best of it. And we should not offer any excuses. But whilst we also pray that the full complement of resources will one day show up. But if they will not show up because we have limited resources, we will make sure that we will not be despair. I will do our best to make you happy.
Are we going to see motorbikes now respecting traffic regulations? Because as it stands now, they cross red lines and all of that.
That is very interesting and very important question. And it is also important to know that the first point of security is self-discipline. There are so many dynamics we've looked at, and we keep seeing how best we can get the necessary logistics to deal with it once and for all. Because if you are not careful in your quest, based on the current logistics that we have for dealing with this, if you are not careful in your quest to fully deal with it, you end up making people to lose their life in the course of what? Intercepting them. But we want to assure you, it is something that the IGP is deeply troubled about, because we can't see why we cannot respect just a simple regulation within a period of 1.5 minutes waiting for light to turn green for you to have safe passage. But you are ready to look left and right and disturb others who have opportunity to move and be ready to die because you think life is valueless.
Let's turn our attention to the Electricity Company of Ghana, because the woes of the company is likely to deepen as the Public Utility Regulatory Commission will be forced to apply monetary sanctions on the company as they fail to comply with the deadline given by the PURC. The PURC had directed the ECG to submit details of its emergency response measures carried out by close of day yesterday. Executive Secretary of the PURC, Mamedu Fiofori, expressed her disappointment on how the electricity providers have handled the problem and threatened to apply more sanctions if ECG fails to honor its promise of solving the problem by close of day. Before we hear from the PURC, earlier today my colleague Bernice Abubedu visited the project office of the ECG, where she reports long winding queues amidst chaos, as some customers have also threatened to connect power illegally.
Chaos here just behind the VIP station, the project office of the Electricity Company of Ghana. I must say that over 1,000 people are gathered here just so they can get some credit on their ECG card. It's been 7 days of trying to solve the problem here. It's been a really tough one trying to get those who came in yesterday to gather around the PA system so the announcer can call out the names and they pick up their cards. Now, the only means of verification is that when the name is mentioned and someone raises their hand to say that's their card, they're supposed to mention their phone numbers, and that's compared with the phone number on the envelope, and then the card is given out. So far, she scored over 50 names, and just about 5 people have picked up their cards. I've just shown you what's happening with regards to those who dropped their cards yesterday. Here's what's happening for those who came in today to drop their cards. They've been given some numbers. If you can see just here, this lady has the number 62. And what's happening now is that these people who were given the numbers are done. are currently moving to this part of the facility to pick up envelopes so they can drop their cards in and come again tomorrow to pick up their cards, just like those who dropped their cards yesterday are doing today.
So let's now hear from the Executive Secretary of the PURC, Mami Dufio, on what they make of this development.
As a commission, it's apart from the fact that we do request for information, we also look at the timeliness of the response. And with ECG, we gave them up to 4 p.m. to respond to us on the 6th of December, that was yesterday, to give us an update on the measures or details on the measures. And by 4 o'clock, they had not responded. So definitely we had to kick in our enforcement rules. And so this was one of the things that necessitated us to scale it up to asking them for, requesting for a show of course, for them to show the reason why we should not apply the monetary sanctions. That is why we had to go towards the second phase of the sanctions. We have given them up to the end of the day on December 8th. Yes, but we must say that they, due to the pressure that we put on them and the order that we gave to them to at least to augment their front line to deal with the teeming customers, yesterday, as you realize, they opened up their project office and they had over 40 desks and 40 members of staff.
Well, the ECG itself has been addressing the media on the prepaid electricity challenges. Here is Engineer Samuel Boache Apia. He's the acting managing director of the company.
ECG has mobilized additional resources. I would say that we have now about 80 staff drawn from other departments who have joined the core customer services team to try and address or resolve this challenge that we have had with our system in order to satisfy our customers and make sure that our business continue running. So I would say that yes, initially what you heard, initially there was a core team that was, and they were diagnosing and, but when they found, they were able to find the solution, then we mobilized additional resources. Yesterday, I was there personally with the team, and about 80 staff are there mobilized to get this problem resolved very quickly. Every company has contingency, plans to address such events as and when they occur. So if we see that we never anticipated that one day there will be this event, then we were not planning. But I will say that yes, there are all these things can happen. We are dealing with equipment. Lines fail, transformers fail, computers fail. And in all this, we have, even the human beings who operate and maintain these things sometimes may disappoint us. So there are always contingency plans, in place. And it's because we had the backup. That is why we were able to quickly respond and, set it up to continue our service. So yes, in our crisis management policy plan, all these things have been identified.
All right, thank you.
So that was the acting managing director of the ECG. And stay with JoyNews because we will be bringing you updates on the developments as the ECG officials try to resolve that particular problem. But right now we're taking a break. Sports is up next with Gary Alsmith.